Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Today, on an exciting journey and episode on Ray Talks, we have two of the most important personalities. When I say important personalities, one is from the Government of India, Mrs. Shomita Biswas. She's already on our show. She'll be back on video in a minute. She is the Joint Secretary, Technology and Mechanization in Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, Government of India. And then we have, yes, there she is. And then we have Mr. Kesavan, who represents, besides his company TAFE, he represents two of the most important bodies in the country. FICCI, he is the chairman of agriculture in FICCI, and he is the president of TMA, Tractors Manufacturers Association. So, friends, today we are going to discuss in our Ray Talks Next Generation Agriculture, enhancing farmers' income through technology and mechanization. Who could be doing justice to this beautiful topic? Well-deserved topic. A Joint Secretary from Government of India and another representing FICCI and TMA. So when we are going to speak about it, we will be talking to Mr. Kesavan and Ms. Shomita Biswas. Let me introduce to my panel speakers today. Mrs. Shomita Biswas, member of Indian Forest Service, belongs to 1988 batch, is the current Joint Secretary, Department of Agriculture, Cooperation and Farmers Welfare, Ministry of Agriculture and Farmers Welfare, that's Government of India. Madam looks after Mechanization Technology Division under this ministry. Earlier, Mrs. Biswas has worked as CEO of National Medicinal Plants Board under Ministry of Ayush, Government of India. Mrs. Biswas has served in Government of Maharashtra in various capacities. While having dealt with the core sector, that is forestry and wildlife, she also has a stint in Fisheries Development Corporation as Managing Director. She has also worked in Environment and Tribal Development Departments. Being posted as Member Secretary, Maharashtra State Commission for Women, she took many initiatives to address issues of gender-based violence and women's empowerment. Mrs. Biswas has been conferred with Appreciation Award by FOGSI for outstanding achievements, transforming lives, dedication to service, and immense contribution to society. Ma'am, I welcome to this show. We are truly honored to have you here. And my next speaker, Mr. Kesavan. Kesavan is so helpful. I would like, before I introduce him, I would like to share an experience how helpful he is. I never knew Mr. Kesavan until January 2020. I got in touch with him. I was having a conference in Hyderabad called Digital Ag India Conference. So I requested Mr. Kesavan. Mr. Kesavan, I said I wanted digital guy from TAFE to come down to Hyderabad to speak in this conference. And immediately he put me on to his digital head, Mr. Raj Singh, and who contributed immensely to this conference. So that's Mr. Kesavan. Now, introducing him formally. Mr. Kesavan is the chairman of FICCI, National Committee on Agriculture, and president Tractors Manufacturers Association, that is TMA. Mr. Kesavan is an engineering and management professional with over 40 years of national and international experience in both functional and management areas. He has a track record of 30 years in areas of agricultural productivity and management, government-industry interface, and public-private partnership. Currently, he is the Group President, Corporate Relations and Alliances for TAFE, that is Tractors and Farm Equipments Limited. He represents TAFE in various industry bodies and government committees, which I just mentioned to you in FICCI as well as TMA. So Mr. Kesavan, you're also welcome and honored to have you with your perspective on this subject.
Thank you, sir.
Yeah. So with these two awesome speakers, I'll quickly introduce myself, Ray Consulting. Ray Consulting brings substantial experience in the diversified agriculture sector by advising leading players across in India and Southeast Asia on a range of strategic, commercial and operational issues. We understand the unique dynamics and economics of agricultural value chain, the critical issues and challenges seeking to grow and elevate performance. We work with all segments of the agri-value chain, including growth strategy, M&A, go-to-market commercial strategy for the business performance improvement, market research reports, and various other strategic dealings. We started, thanks to this pandemic times, a unique talk show called Ray Talks on April 25th. We never knew this Ray Talks would take such an important turn with over 30 countries registering. Almost 33 is list we have now. Like today's registrations, we have 17 countries registering to listen to all of us. It has become a global show and the only show in the world which is regularly aired on every Saturday at 4 p.m. Indian Standard Time. So with this brief introduction, ma'am, I seek your permission, Mr. Kesavan. I would like to start discussing with both of you. Ma'am has to attend a meeting maybe about in an hour's time. So we'll try and see how best we can talk to her and Mr. Kesavan get the things done. And my dear audience, as usual, thank you so much for joining, taking out your time. We'll surely take your questions at the end of the discussion, what I have with Mrs. Biswas and Mr. Kesavan. Madam, let me start with you. One of the things what we talk in agriculture is doubling of farmers' income, enhancing farmers' income. And I personally believe that mechanization can play a very important role. So can you let us know what is the status of farm mechanization in the country as of now? Ma'am, can you unmute yourself? Mike. Yes.
Now, can you hear me now?
Yes, madam.
Okay, thank you, Mr. Raj Agarwal, for having invited me in this particular, consultation. And I'm really honored to be here with you all. And it is a great opportunity for India to be part of this talk show where 17 country representatives are here. And it's a great opportunity for all of us. So as you have very rightly asked about the status of farm mechanization in the country, as you all of you would agree that agriculture mechanization is an essential input for modern agriculture, and which enhances, besides reducing the human drudgery which we look at, and also cost of cultivation. So therefore, at present, it also improves the efficiency of whatever inputs farmers are using at the moment. It improves the mechanization is a enabling factor to improve the efficiency of all the inputs that farmers are adding, to grow different kinds of crops. At present, the farm mechanization has increased to 2.49 kilowatts per hectare. It's a recent study that we have got conducted, and it's a very heartening to share this figure with you, which was earlier 2.02 kilowatt per hectare farm power availability. So this is an impressive improve if we look at the mechanization, agriculture mechanization segment of agriculture sector, which is growing annually globally at the rate of 10%. And if we look at in Indian context, it is growing, the CAGR is growing at the rate of 7.5% during the period since 2016 and 18. So it is, and it is heartening to share with you, Mr. Kesavan is also there, that one of the major factors of improvement of this farm mechanization industry, the the growth of tractor industry in our country, and ours is the major, exporter. We are the largest exporter of tractors, and we are annually almost exporting 9 lakh tractors at the moment. So it is it's a good that way, India's position as far as farm mechanization is concerned. Yes, I agree that we need to, most of us also agree that tractor is a source of power. So there are other machines and implements which also should, the use of those machines and implements also should be increase. The use of those machines also should increase in the farming sector. So we are also looking at that. Thank you.
That's very important messages you gave. I mean, that the improvement of from 2.03 to something like 2.24 mechanization percentage, and the role of tractors, it's not just tilling the land, but various others, including power or transportation. So, Mr. Kesavan, I'll move to you. So, mechanization is also a way where I feel can reduce a lot of wastage in the farm. So, what do you think mechanization will help in achieving this? And what do you think about wastage? Can anything more be done? I mean, because see, doubling of farmers, if I get doubling, increasing farmers' income, not necessarily the farmer has to increase the yield in his fields. It also, like we say, saving a rupee is earning a rupee. So saving a kg from by farmer in wastage is equivalent to getting his value of that work. So how do we go about it?
Thank you very much for this question. I think there is a question very close to my heart, and Jayas also knows that it is close to my heart. See, for me, any wastage in the farm, let me divide into two, up to the farm head and beyond the farm head. Let me first talk only up to the farm head. See, the wastages happen in many areas. All the inputs are wasted, whether it is fertilizer, pesticide, water, power, or even the soil quality. I consider this as the main inputs for any agriculture. And if you do not take care of this, every single of this gets wasted in one way or the other. The other thing is seeds, the main item which goes in. So you look at the 6 elements. The wastage is one area. Second is post-harvest. During harvest and post-harvest, there are wastages. For me, the mechanization can actually save this in a big way. Whether if you are really looking at, I'll just give you one simple example which has happened in the last rice harvesting in Tamil Nadu, rice sowing in Tamil Nadu. One small farmer invented a capsule.
Yes.
Like a capsule, what we eat as a medicine. He put a seed, fertilizer, and a little bit of preventive pesticide, and he sowed it. He says, and actually, it has been come. The Tamil Nadu government has taken it up, and I think Tamil Nadu agricultural people are taking it up. He says he spent less than 30% of the inputs. He never used water, like if he never did flood irrigation. And almost everything what is sowed grow. Now, just imagine if this is, now imagine this is what I would like to have an equipment, which we call is pelletizing a seed. A pelletizing a seed is typically great if you can pelletize it and start seeding it, you save a lot of input cost. Number one. So this is something, because every item gets saved. Second thing is preservation of soil. See, today, there is no need to remove the entire earth for putting one seed in. Suppose you, so actually today you have machines which only seed when needed, where needed, without removing the topsoil, without removing. So this is also going to be another way. All these things are driven by mechanization equipments.
Yes.
So this is where, while JS talked about tractor work, I think one of the areas we both of us concur, and which she actually indicated, is you not only tractor today, you need high-end mechanization equipment which can save all this input cost. Then comes the storage at the farm head, because once you do harvesting, your mechanical harvesting actually saves a lot of wastage. So the mechanical harvesting, better quality harvesters, today we really see it in rice and wheat and maize. But today these harvesters can be in other areas also to suit the India needs. Then harvest, saving and harvesting, and after harvesting, what we really call as, which I just saw the UP government announcing it 2 days back. They are going to have 5,000 warehouses, almost every 10 village, one warehouse kind of. This is something I call as the farm head warehousing, which actually reduces the waste post harvesting. No, the advantage is farmers don't have to go for a desperate sale. Farmers can save the input material. So straight away that money goes into the pocket, right? You said, 1 rupee saved is 1 rupee earned. Probably even more than that. I will sometimes that. So I think mechanization can do a lot. And that is why I stopped mechanization at the farm head. Beyond that, I will never. One area which I have not talked about is sorting, grading and sorting, which actually increases the value for the farmers. Otherwise, what happens is they get an average pricing, but a sorted product can always demand a much better pricing. So let me stop here. That is, so I believe mechanization is good for the country. We have almost 20% and 40% wastages in food, in grains and vegetable, fruits and vegetables. Saving this is going to be big stuff. Saving input cost is going to be big stuff. Over to you, sir.
Yeah. I'll come back. That's a nice way to put it. Mr. Kesavan, I'll come back to you. I would like to relate mechanization to digitization a little later, once I have another chat with Madam. Madam, in your view, though India is quite advanced, currently you gave the figures also in mechanization, but compared to other countries, where do we stand?
If we compare ourselves with the most advanced countries like US and Europe, we are quite behind as compared to those regions of the world. We have improved our power availability, farm power availability to almost 2.49 as I go by 1819 report. However, in other countries, it is, for example, the mechanization is more than 95% in countries like US, and that also means that only 5% of the population, 5% of the population is again engaged in agriculture, because mechanization is so much so that only 5% of the population is engaged in mechanization. And in India, if we look at India, mechanization is about 40 to 50%, and whereas almost 60% of the population is engaged in agriculture. So that is the kind of difference we have if we look at developed world. But there are again, reasons for that. Of course, we have a huge population, and there are other socio-economic factors which I'm not going to go into. But I would definitely look at the, we have a very 15 agroclimatic zones, which makes the mechanization all the more challenging in agriculture. When we look at the diverse kind of agroclimatic zones, and then we have in the north, if we see, we have Himalayas, we have Alps, and then if you go to the south, we have plateaus. If you go to the west, we have desert. If you go to the northeast, is a absolutely different agroclimatic conditions we are looking at. So therefore, taking all these factors together, the mechanization becomes really, really very challenging. What mechanization we are talking for, Rajasthan will be very different for the northeastern states. And what we are looking at in the states of Jammu and Kashmir or Himachal Pradesh will be very different to what we are looking at in the southern parts of the country. So therefore, given this challenge, also I think we have achieved a lot, because when we look at the kind of, when we started, I mean, from independence till now, we have achieved food security. That's a great achievement. And now is the time that we should focus on nutritional security. That's what I feel.
True.
We have achieved food security. Now we should go for nutritional security. This is the right time that we should focus on that. And definitely, I have a lot of hopes in mechanization. Mr. Kesavan has referred to sort of, issue of wastage, and he has also touched upon kind of precision farming. These are the areas which we should definitely focus on now.
Ma'am, thank you. I'll come back to you on the initiatives from the government of India's time. From the government of India's side, what needs to be done and what's been taken, so that in the better interest of the our audience, they'll come to know the initiatives. So, Mr. Kesavan, back to you. See, you mentioned about wastage and all. Now, I have a question. You spoke about farm head. Now, how do you feel mechanization can strengthen the farmers to reach to market, and what are the interventions needed to feel?
Okay, you see, again, there are two topics here. One is mechanization up to the farm head.
Yes.
Second is mechanization beyond the farm head. See, mechanization beyond the farm head is an extremely important topic because the farmers need to ensure that whatever the goods they produce has to be sold or moved to the end user, the fastest time and the safest ways without, that's where all the wastages come in. So the way I look at it is, here it is looking beyond mechanization, but I think let me still talk about it as a part of mechanization. What I really look forward is that we need to have good transportation models and logistics which actually takes care of these needs. One good thing, I think the initiative, the government has looked at the initiative. Probably we can come back to that later. JS will be able to throw a lot of light on the initiatives, what's been done by the government. So the question is, the farmers' ability to reach the market is also going to be hugely helpful for the digitalization what is happening. Today, the digitalization in the country, where even the government of India has decided to come with a complete digital database of all the farmers and linking all the farmers across India, I think is going to create a transparent area where the farmers will know where I can sell, what better price I can get, and the buyers know where to go to get the right thing. So you're really converting the Indian farming market into a truly business model with the aid of, here I'll only limit the technology to the digital technology, and also creating an infrastructure so that produce can be moved from the point of origin to the point of use. Plus, one very important thing I think we'll have to look at it is also the value add what you have to do to the produce, which you can call it processing. In the initially, first level will be sorting, grading, then processing. The processing also increases the shelf life of the products tremendously. So that also is something I think is. I'm not going to get into the laws which has been promulgated on it, but I think we are going in the right direction. I mean, that much I can 101% say. It's good move. We are going in the right direction. It's going to help the farmers. Why I'm saying it's going to help the farmers is, if you have been accustomed to the mandi, if you have been accustomed to working with the middleman always calculates what is the likely loss and then only pays the farmer. So, I mean, people think that middleman takes the loss. It is in reality the farmer takes the loss every time. So imagine there is no loss or you reduce the loss. The person who gets benefited is the farmer. Thank you.
Yeah. I think from there, see, mechanization, generally mechanization being on field, from field to the warehouse or stuff like that. Now, coming back to ma'am, see, mechanization, I feel, has got two big advantages for the country. One is, supported interventions by the government of India. If I may know, what are the interventions government of India is creating to mechanize the farms in whichever way it can be? And two, I personally feel it is a huge opportunity for employment. When I say employment, self-employment, for example. So what are the skill development plans government has to do to enhance the mechanization for farming?
Government of India has implementing two schemes at the moment. Those are going on full swing. One is submission of farm mechanization, which is going on since 1914, 15 as of now. And as all of you will agree that as the time is passing, the farm holding is reducing. Therefore, as a result, the farmers are, getting less and less output out of its, farm holding. So therefore, for that small holding, it becomes not so profitable to purchase a machine for an individual farmer for mechanization. Barring the farmers who are economically well off, who have a larger piece of land, they can still afford to purchase machines, tractors, and those kinds of implements to improve the efficiency of farm inputs. But looking at the large chunk of farmers, meaning a large number of farmers, as you would, all of you would agree that more than 80% of farmers are small and marginal farmers. So the government is looking at those farmers, and therefore this particular submission on farm mechanization has been initiated, whereby implements, farm equipments, machines are given to them, distributed them on a subsidized rate to individual farmers. Second very important thing is, initiative of custom hiring center. So custom hiring center is, sort of in a particular area, region, or in a block or a village, custom hiring center is set up where machines are available. Small and marginal farmers can hire those machines and then use those machines in their field. And along with that, we are also sort of having some kind of technological interventions to improve the use of this custom hiring center. We have, there's an app called Farm Machinery Solutions app we have initiated, whereby the farmers can register on that app. They can, requisition their demand of machinery on that. And then CHC operators, CHC service providers are also there on that app. They can, display what kind of machineries are available, and then they can negotiate among themselves about the price of, rental price and everything. And this is how it is being, this particular scheme is going on. The second is it's because as you understand, this agriculture is a state subject. So this particular scheme is the center's share is 60% under this scheme, and 40% comes from the state governments. There is a second scheme that is called crop residue management scheme, CRM scheme, which is being particularly initiated since 1819, looking at this crop residue issue, which is happening, and all of you know that this burning of crop residue is happening during this time. So going on. So this scheme was also launched to minimize those kinds of, to manage the crop residue in situ. So that is a 100% center sector scheme. 100% funds come from the central sector. And this scheme is, again, the components are more or less similar as the submission on farm mechanization. Here, the machines are more towards, how to manage the crop residue in situ, in the field itself, so that the residue can be used within the farm, increasing the nutrient level of the farms, and less use of fertilizer and those kinds of things. At the same time, it would also improve the input efficiency, and within shorter period, the institute. These are the kind of initiatives the government of India is, taking forward. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks, ma'am. I think I'll come back to you on the skill development. So I just like to. So you mentioned about CHC. I think TAFE is one of the most important corporates who has taken a step much before anybody has done on corporate hiring centers, where they are doing an extremely good job under the social arm of the cafe. And we also have under custom hiring centers, like, recently one of the young boys, Arjun, who had appeared on our show from a company called Kesavan. They are trying to link fintech with the agtech and hiring the equipments to the farmers, taking it closer to them. And third, very important factor which you mentioned was that it is a state subject. That's exactly, we were honored to have a discussion by Mr. Jayesh Ranjan, Principal Secretary in Telangana government, which he has acknowledged in our conference, telling that, look, agriculture is a state subject and Government of India gives us so many opportunities. It is we who need to pick it up and see how we can practice. And he gave us a mandate. He said in digital conference, how can you see, Raj, you can connect the startups with incidentally, our event happened just 2 or 3 days later after the budget was presented. So he brought in some 17 points from that budget. He said, look, can you connect agricultural points from this budget to our state thing? So the third important factor, what I feel is startups can play a very critical role.
Absolutely.
Mechanization and thing. And I'm fortunate that, I also mentor quite a few startups in technology and mechanization for these things. As you mentioned, for example, how do we measure when I say measure, find out the nutrient in a soil? What is to be required? Now, recently, one of our mentees called Krishi Tantra, who identifies almost 11 nutrients in soil, is being funded by 2 large venture capitals. So that is where we can see a huge opportunity. I think we need to find out. Government of India is doing a lot of things. Probably we need to find out what we can take from that. So that's a very valid point. If Mr. Kesavan, if you may allow, I would like to take an extension question to ma'am on the skill development. I mean, how best Government of India or India can tap the youth of India. I mean, again, I would like to preempt a small thing. We are, one of our clients we are encouraging him to get into agri-inputs supplies, including farm implements, as you mentioned, either hiring or by selling. So one of the suggestions we gave to them was, you need to have a sprayer service center along with your centers of sales. So for every one service center, I'm creating 2 employments. When I say 2 employments, 2 entrepreneurs. I'm training those 2 guys who can repair the sprayers, who can manage how to repair simple farm equipments and then serve the farmer. So what are the skill development initiatives from your end?
Very good question, Mr. Raj. As you would agree that mechanization must, go, in tandem with the capacity building of the people. When we talk about capacity building of the farmers, capacity building the youth who are there in the rural sector, capacity building of the agriculture engineers, etc., so on and so forth. And with that kind of objective in mind, Government of India had established 4 farm mechanization training and testing institute in 4 parts of the country. So we have these, in short form, they're called FMTTIs. FMTTIs, one of them is in the south, another one is in northeastern region, one of them is in Hisar, and there is one is in the central region, Madhya Pradesh, Budni. So now these FMTTIs are, giving trainings to all these segments of the population, farmers, and then agriculture engineers and polytechnic graduates. And another very interesting thing that we started, which was the need of the hour, when this COVID started, lockdown started, as all of you must have seen how migrant laborers were moving from the urban agglomerates to their respective villages. What a pathetic sight we have experienced, all of us have experienced. So then our department, came up with an idea, why not to give some kind of, skill development training to these youth who are going back, because after going back also probably they'll not get any kind of job. Yes. So we started an absolutely innovative way of, bringing this migrant labor to this FMTTI. 2 FMTTIs we identified, because we identified there are 6 such states who have huge number of migrant laborers, Rajasthan, UP, then Madhya Pradesh, Jharkhand, Bihar. These are the 6, and Orissa. So these are the 6 states are identified from where large number of youth migrant labor were moving from urban back to their villages. So we developed the training program, skill development training program quickly for them. And then we also tried to realize if, once we bring them to, our FMTTIs, the issue of their daily wages would also come. So I personally said, no, then let us add in their training program one wage component also, so that they are keen to come, stay there for 1 month and take the training. So then there was another challenging issue. How would, during the social distancing and those kinds of things, how are we to manage? So it was a really, really challenging task for all of us. And but I'm happy to share with you all that we are doing it very successfully, and they are being trained in different kinds of trainings. And we are also maintaining social distancing. It was so great challenge. You cannot imagine what kind of challenges we face, bringing them from somewhere, some interior village of Bihar or some interior village of Rajasthan to Budni or to Hisar. It was a great challenge. My entire team, I personally used to talk to the secretaries and those people, send them like that. They would say, we don't have any bus. How do we send them? How do we? Okay, send them. We'll pay for it. We made provision. We made modifications in the scheme. Whenever such challenges came, and we got great support from our secretary, from our minister, and now I'm happy to announce, which was an initiative. Now we have added that as a chapter in our submission on farm mechanization. Now there is a chapter. Now institutionalization of this particular initiative has happened. Now this thing was started only for 3 months, but now when we said no, this is a good thing, because we want that youth should get employment at the rural area. If that can happen, what best better than this thing can take place. So we added a chapter on skill development of migrant labor of youth in our SMAM scheme. So those kinds of initiative government of India is taking, and I'm very proud of that. Thank you.
That's very interesting. Sometimes pandemics has also given opportunities but challenges to someone like you. So in fact, this reminds me, J&K had their promotional event in Hyderabad in, I think it was February or early March. They were supposed to have a mega conference in May for this development of J&K. A young IAS officer, Mr. Ravinder, was here. So when I got in touch with him sometime in April, May, he said, Raj, हम लोग खाली अभी स्टेशन और बस अड्डे पे खड़े हैं. Receive a batch of migrants, send a batch of migrants.
Right.
So migration is both ways. It's not that only from one state they're all moved to the other state.
Absolutely. Yeah.
So he said, then once we get them, we need to accommodate them. We need to, as I said, that type of social distancing people were not even aware of. So many challenges. And hats off to all of you. I think you spent
so many. I can narrate so many incidents. Our own institution people, they themselves are so much apprehensive. They were, one case was positive, and when this thing started, the COVID was there, it was still spreading. So the entire IFM institution people said, no, they cannot do it because one of the trainee was found positive. Then we took initiative. We called this thing, okay, let us isolate him. Let us start the training after 14 days. Let us do this. Lot of, hand-holding, lot of confidence generation among the staff, among the people, among the trainees who have come. Day-to-day basis, we were monitoring, and still we are doing that. But ultimately, the result is really
amazing. Our industry, agri industry, when I had my first webinar on 25th April, in fact, that is a time nothing was clear. Nothing was clear, April, May. So I had some very senior people from our industry, especially agrochemicals, and they said, thanks to Government of India's initiatives, my truck was stuck on a highway. One email cleared the truck to reach the factory. They said, never we have seen such a beautiful thing happening. I think In fact, we have seen a lot of empathy coming in from every sector and
Absolutely, absolutely.
empathy. It's not sympathy. It's not beyond that. And each one has started understanding. चलो भाई वो रुका हुआ उसका काम कर दो जल्दी से kind of. And I mean, you're all in the forefront, not just monitoring, but I think you're a part of it. That's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely.
Thank you, man, for giving this. So, Mr. Kesavan, so again, I'm linking so much technology and mechanization with my conference, which happened in thing. There we had one professor, Professor Manjeet Singh from Punjab Agriculture University, who is one of the stalwarts in mechanization. He did a very, I mean, he put a very nice line. He said, mechanization technology will go hand in hand. And sometimes, not sometimes, he said many times, mechanization is a precursor for a digitization. So I will move from mechanization to a different kind of question to you. Is that how important is data in agriculture and how digitization or AI can help farmers?
Okay, see the digitization and artificial intelligence. Why? I think I'll go this back to the JS question. JS pointing out India has got 15 agroclimatic zones. Every agriculture done in every pocket of India has its own way of doing agriculture. And there is nothing that you can do to farmers and tell them everything has to be uniform. That's not going to work in India. It does not work in the world. So the AI and digital is going to help in a big way by understanding what the farmers are doing in their own pockets. Just imagine, I mean, I'll suppose India has got 6,25,000 villages. Out of that, let us say 90-80% is good for agriculture. Now imagine if you have data of every village, soil quality, when it is likely to rain, what are all how the individual crops are doing there. And this data is available on a regular basis. Normally we say that it is created and matured every weekly. And imagine the kind of power the data has to go back to the farmer and say, your soil quality is high, you have to do this much in that area. At least on a village basis, then this can be broken down even up to a farmer's area. If he has got 1 acre, 2 acres, 4 acres, you can even go to that extent. See, today technology has that ability to do that. The question is it affordable enough in India? See, that's also another question you have to always understand. You need an affordable technology which can reach the farmer, and the farmer should see there is a benefit in it. So this is where I think both the digitalization, AI, data preservation is going to help. One very simple example. I think recent locust attack,
Yeah.
what happened, is an extremely good example. At least we were able to know well in advance the locust is coming. If you have gone back about 10, 12 years or 15 years back, this would not have been possible. Okay, now you also can probably predict even much earlier the locusts are coming. We may have intention to protect the locust attack because you have a digital AI. The biggest advantage what you get in an AI is suppose you in a particular area you have done something and it has worked very well. The digital AI has got ability to learn and transfer it to somewhere area which is similar to it. I'm not saying exactly the same, similar to it. This I think is going to help in a big way when it comes to digitalization and AI. Another very important thing, how this is going to help India more than anyone else is that see, digitalization can actually come to much more smaller units. In the olden times, larger the farm, we thought is better. Today, imagine that today you have an equipment which can work in a half an acre farm. 20 of the equipments will work in a larger farm, and 100 of the equipments can be managed, digitally controlled, digitally linked, which is what we call as a swarm technology. I genuinely believe that India will become a leading factor here because like COVID, the negative aspect of the COVID gave us a lot of positive things. This just because Indian agricultural lands are so fragmented, we are going to have technologies which can work in the fragmented land, and if you can club it together into a swarm with artificial intelligence and digitalization, it can work in anywhere in the world. So for me, this is going to not only help India, it can also become a source for India can be a source for the world Because, there is volume. Whenever there are volumes, India has always done a good job on exports. And technology is, we have probably, I don't want to call it frugal, but I think we have the technology at the lowest cost. We have the capability of doing it.
Yeah, I think replication wise we are very smart, and scaling we can do very well.
Very well.
Since you mentioned about the small parts, I mean, again, I would like to quote 3 years of back. So I was in Himachal in apple orchards with the farmers working for a couple of our clients, and we saw that very interesting. The bunds, because the counter bund of apple trees, and one bund didn't have more than 10-15 trees. And it was very difficult for them to either spray or irrigate or stuff like that. I think this then smaller ways they found on how to get the things done in a proper way. So it was great talking to you, friends. In next about 5-7 minutes, I'll take questions from you. Keep your questions ready, and you can raise your hands. Whoever wants to put questions to Madam Biswas and Mr. Kesavan. So, Madam and Mr. Kesavan, I will move from mechanization and technology to something generic topic, which is, and this is a question for both of you. Whoever feels like you can kind of answer first, but both of you have to answer this. So much has happened about this agri laws in the last few months, and these agri laws have been enacted, and there is both the corporates. When I say corporates, I would say there are two coins of the same thing. One says yes, it is beneficial. The other said it may not. So, what do you have to say on this, Madam, to begin with?
I think these two laws that have come into being have opened up the market. That is definitely one of the key things that has happened due to enactment of these two laws. Earlier, farmers could only sell their produce in the mandis. Now they have options available. That is number one. Number two, this is a great opportunity for the entrepreneurs also to be, invest. For the entrepreneur can start some kind of startups in agricultural products. Third is for the investors. When investors have a great opportunities, because we see that investment in the agriculture sector is the least if we compare with other sectors. So through these two laws, the investment, the gateway is opening for the investors also, for the entrepreneurs also, for the traders also, and the farmers also. Farmers has a great opportunity to get into contracts with the business community, with the entrepreneurs, with the traders. I mean, they can have their price, a negotiable price, and thereby it is an opportunity. I mean, who wants to really leverage this opportunity can be definitely benefited out of these two acts. That's what I feel. But at the same time, I would also like to mention that because it is just the beginning. So there are ifs and buts. Definitely, when anything new starts, there are ifs and buts everywhere. So we will definitely look at those aspects of let us go up to the bridge, and then we can think of crossing it also.
Great. Mr. Kesavan.
First of all, I think I am absolutely for what has happened, all the three laws. Because I think I genuinely believed that what happened in 1991 for in automobiles and industry, I think that's the moment what has happened for agriculture. And I'm really surprised people are objecting to this. I don't want to get into the politics of it, but I think it is more politics than reality what has been happening. I'll only go by one simple logic. In India, anybody can make anything anywhere and sell anything anywhere. Why are you not allowing the farmers to do it? Is that mean is farmer is a lower sector than everybody else? So he cannot sell what he produces anywhere? So that's a question I think somebody need to really think and answer. Number two is while a mandi, etc., has been useful in the past, especially when we had in an area where we had a food scarcity and controls were required, APMC's acts were required, EC Act was required. See, everything has got a time period. I think somewhere you have to accept that we need to change and keep it moving and give the freedom to farmers to produce, sell anywhere they want, give them the facility to it. An open market is always a welcome market. I'll only give you one small real example and I want you to judge by itself. I'm going to talk about a state. I'm not going to name what state it is because it can be a little embarrassing. Just during the April month, the mandis went on a strike because 2.5% was introduced by the government as a mandi, additional mandi charges, because they wanted to use it for development at that time. So they had a problem of water. So they wanted to collect this and use it for water. Every mandi fellow objected and they went on a strike. So I did talk to the agricultural secretary and said, sir, you're doing it at a very wrong time because this is the time Fazal comes into the market, farmer has got money. So if you do something like this and mandi fellows act funny, you're really going to put the farmers. He says, Keshav, don't worry about it. He said, I have opened out 2,000 private people can buy directly. Okay. And he says that, believe me, mandi people will come and agree with me in 1 day or 2 days, everything will get settled. And believe me, Mr. Raj and JS, I being genuinely, hats off to that agricultural secretary. But nobody really heard about that mandi strike after 2 days. Because why this happened? There is farmers an opportunity sells other than mandi also. Now, this is the strength I want to give to the farmer. And unfortunately, now the same state is objecting to this. So I won't name the state. So that is the problem of reality and politics. And I think we need to go beyond all this to make things what is. See, I'm not saying oppose what is not right, but don't oppose for the sake of opposition. And I think it is very unfair. And, I know sometimes the JS can't say that openly. I can say that as an individual capacity. I will definitely say that. I think this is good. And the only people who have been objecting has been the people from Punjab, Haryana, where always, if you look at it, the history is 85% of the purchases on wheat and rice were done from there. And they always got the MSP. It is not that they never got the MSP. So what is there to cry? Now, if you come to down south and even in Andhra and Telangana, none of us really got affected. Kerala went an extent to go one step more and said, okay, even vegetables I put a MSP. But they have never said that anybody can't buy it. Because many people from this side is not affected. And what is the procurement? 6.5% of total produce is procured. So many a time you tend to make too much of noises for the heck of it. And I only wish people do not come between development of a farmer. I think farmer needs that kind of a help. Allow him to do. He has got brilliant ideas. He will come out better than all of us. I mean, that's my call.
I think it makes sense because that's exactly ma'am said, maybe initially it takes time to get educated, to get practice and stuff like that. In fact, you spoke about the states and all. I heard not heard, at least read in the news by one of the states mentioning that if farmer doesn't get MSP, we'll buy at MSP, kind of support and comfort they were trying to give. But that's I think corporates, madam mentioned, you mentioned the corporates will get an opportunity. A lot of opportunity will come from the aggregators. Like we work with so many aggregators. Like I know with whom we work, one of the aggregators, they provide inputs to the farmers. Now trying to track what produce they could get, and they are trying to track what quantity and quality of produce they can get, and they are connecting to the markets, online, and they are ensuring that not now, 2 महीने के बाद में so much quantity to be getting, can you connect and give a price to these farmers? So that kind of things are also started happening. Great. Now my last question to both of you. Then we'll take questions from the audience and then we'll read out some questions. Last week I had Anil from Samundati talking to me. I put this question to him also. I said, Anil, what do you feel that next 10 years agriculture would be? And he said, Raj, I don't need 10 years, I need 5 years. So that's the reason I reduced the time to 5 years. So what do you feel that where agriculture should be next 5 years, or where will it lead to improve the farmers' lives, incomes, and of course all of us?
Well, the things are changing, reforms are happening, and that all of us are experiencing reforms in terms of governance, reforms in terms of regulation. Uh, in all aspects of agriculture, reforms are happening. But a need of the hour is to leverage the democratic dividend that India has. And technology can play a very, very important role, which we had been discussing from the beginning of this session. That technology can play a very, very important role to make agriculture profitable for this 80% of the population whom we are sort of talking about, and not only for the farmers, but also for the entrepreneurs, youngsters who want to do something in the agriculture sector. And I've seen that the boys, girls from IITs, IIMs, they want to really do something good for the society, and as well as for the overall, good of the farmers and people in the, I know there's a group of IITians who are supplying milk to, many of the societies. They are aggregating. So that way, so if this kind of environment, environment is building up, that's what I feel. And the technology will play a very, 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 very important role. And the important part would be played by the corporate sector also. When they make a right choice to make the investment in the agriculture sector, with these laws have come into being, with the use of these laws, the leveraging these laws, the investment from the corporate world, private investment would be very, very important. And third, very important aspect is the investment in R&D, research and development. Then only we can really leverage the technological aspect. Even if we talk about mechanization, we talk about digitization, digitalization, or precision farming. So these are the kind of things, and technologies should be such that we can take those technology to the last farmers of a village, last farmer of this village who should be able to use this technology. So that is the kind of innovation, the environment of innovation, building up that is required. And the fourth thing is marketing and trade. I think everything boils down to marketing and trade. Until and unless we have market for any product, whether agriculture or non-agriculture products, nothing is going to really happen. So therefore, the marketing and trade should, I think everything should emanate from there. So we need to have the market created, developed, whether within the country, outside the country, for the agriculture or agriculture produce. So that kind of quality of produce we need to ensure. And the system should be, enabling system should be there, put in place. Governance structure should put in place to, make this sector really productive. And there is a great opportunity at the moment available to all of us. Thank you.
Yes, I think, yeah, great. Yes, Ms. Kesavan. You need to unmute, please.
I take the last point what JS talked about. See, I genuinely believe agriculture in India is complicated. In the sense, it's a state subject, it's a central subject. It also falls between 10 ministries because, you have an agriculture ministry, you have a processing, then you have the laws and the rules and the pest content comes under another ministry. Then you have transportation, then you have transportation again, rail, water, everything. Plus, then you have gel ministry coming in. So it's actually a complicated subject. It's as complicated as taxation. If we look at it, central tax and state tax were state tax was state subject, central tax was central subject. And we had to create a GST, creating a consensus between everybody. I think agriculture very badly needs an agricultural council. I know I've been making a lot of noise about it in every session. Why I say that, I'm not saying that it is to dictate the states or dictate the center. It is to ensure that whatever we do, there is a consensus, and we are not looking at the 5-year term of election wins. It is not going to work in agriculture. You need a long-term roadmap, which has to be agreed by everybody. Every player has to come in, like railways trying to run a cold chain. Okay. What I want is, boss, you do it, but get chip in so that they also agree with your idea. Otherwise, there will be some opposition state saying no, some other body saying yes. I think that's not good for India, not today, on a long term. So my request is create agricultural council, what you did for GST, in a similar pattern. My first reaction when I talked about it is people told me, no, you are trying to pull out the states, and you are trying to bring in a government, central government control. I said, no, you look at GST has not done it. They created a way of sharing. Only because of this pandemic, we had some problem. Otherwise, this should have rolled out much better. Everything right, JS said, initially there will be problems. Rules are not solution. Rules are only directions. And the solutions come in implementation. So my request is implementation need to be with a good council where everybody is present. I think my genuine feeling is Ministry of Agriculture, somebody senior enough need to lead this effort. Like GST Council are led by somebody from a state at that time, they really realize. And that is how it's really, somebody need to lead it and create this. And then you'll find, because it also going to help domestic, it is also going to help in exports. Exports is today, it's all knee-jerk reaction. And I'm sure JS will also appreciate APIDA works differently, MAPIDA works differently, MOA works differently. Everything is in its own. And then you have people like, the storages like central warehousing, etc. Everything hangs loose. I think everything need to work in unison, and you need a platform to do this. I know it's not easy, but if you don't start moving it and creating something like that and bring that, I'll always say that this is something like you need a conductor who can bring harmony from the different instruments. Every instrument is very good, beautiful. But if it's going to create funny noises, you're not going to get a music. So my feeling is that conductor is going to be a good agricultural council, and that can make the whole difference in India. But let's not forget, agriculture is huge for India.
Huge.
And it's got many, many repercussions, and we can be the football along with Africa for the world. So why not?
And I think especially in this pandemic times, thanks to the current year's both monsoon and proactive steps from the agriculture departments, industry, both sides, I feel next 2 years Indian economy would be boosted with the rural economy. It's so much dependency and happening all around. Thank you. I will take quickly the questions from the audience. So RK Goel has put a question. I think Madam has already answered that. He was asking, is there any sort of projects done so far as public-private partnerships? She mentioned so many opportunities are there. Is there anything you would like to add, Madam, on this, on private-public partnerships in mechanization?
Yeah, it is already there. We have under RKBY funds that we are supporting the startups, and many startups are on mechanization only. And that kind of opportunities are already available within our schematic guidelines of RKBY.
Great. So I'll take question from Mr. Patil. Chidagan Patil, can you unmute and introduce yourself? Are you there, Mr. Patil? Please unmute. Okay. I'll go to Dr. G.V.K. Rao. Dr. G.V.K. Rao, can you pose a question on mechanization?
Namaskar ji.
Namaskar, sir.
I request on the government reforms which will help the farmers. I am a farmer. As a farmer, what we are looking, please, on this, procurement of paddy, wheat, almost all godowns are filled, and it doesn't need for 7 years. 7 years godowns are kept, simply wasting the money, and also The borewells, the agriculturists, most of them doing a borewell water for the paddy. This is the one immediately has to be changed. The reforms in the government, which is mechanization. Certainly, the mechanization is going to be answer. But today, even weed, removing weed, each farmer, he is like a killing him. The weed removal, we go to moon. We do so much research, but weed removal, we don't have how much is costing, either manpower or otherwise going for the Roundup, which is the chemicals, which is dangerous for the food to all arsenic, lead, mercury.
Yeah.
It's all
Yeah.
coming. We have to be very careful. Natural farming and other threats are there. Infrastructure. See, in the villages, any roads or water, the power is some places the power, but the water and roads and go down particularly the cold chain. These are the things where instead of today, if I want to go for harvesting, I don't get labor because they are enough put money in their banks, which they don't want to turn for working. We have become, workers. Work culture is lost, and
Yeah.
crop
Yeah.
holiday. We have to declare a crop holiday. If
Yes.
that starts, you
Yeah.
imagine what's going to happen. So we need the reforms. If you give me time, I may I may put 2, 3, which
Yeah.
is
No, I
required.
think Madam has to leave in next 2 minutes, Doctor.
Please.
Yeah. Okay. Now, see, there's a question from Rahul Bhargava. Is NICRA, NICRA, on its way to scale pan India with central funding? Madam. Can you hear me, madam? There is a question.
Yeah.
Is NICRA, NICRA, on its way to scale pan India with central funding?
I think he can send me this request.
Okay, please, I'll share.
So I can,
Sure.
I will pass on this particular question to the concerned division and get back along with the address and everything.
Yeah. Now there is, so again, it says remunerative prices against grades of quality in markets are required at scale. Food safety should attract a premium. Can entire value chains have to become traceable?
Traceability is an important issue, definitely. When you want to market your product, and if you look at the quality of any product for that matter, not only agriculture, any product for that matter, traceability is an important aspect. It is, and it also ensures the quality where from the product is coming, and it's an important aspect. And one should, if somebody want to come to this particular segment, it would be good idea to focus on this particular aspect also.
Great. Ma'am, before we part, and I thank both of you, and a minute each from each one of you on takeaway, closing remarks.
Thank you, Raj Agarwal, for having invited me. Thank you.
Honored. Mr. Kesavan?
Yeah, I think it's been a good experience, and I think more of these kind of talks actually is going to help people to understand. As I rightly said, I think JS also says that, see, you cannot expect solutions coming out like this. Solutions takes time, but the most important is these things can help to create a roadmap, and at least you can see whether are we going to meet the roadmap as we go ahead. I think that's going to be the most important aspect of agriculture in India. I think many of these dialogues is going to help, and I know that government also will be happy to listen to people questions being asked by the attendees. All these things because they are asking because that's a pain point for them. So these are good to know and good to way to take a corrective action. And thanks for that, Raj. Thanks a lot.
Thank you, ma'am. Thank you, Mr. Kesavan. I think madam has to rush immediately. I tried to match the time. She's gone. And thank you, Mr. Kesavan, for joining. And it's great Fun talking to both of you. Thanks. Bye-bye, audience. Please stay safe in this COVID times. And as you all know, you can like, subscribe, forward our right now. In fact, we are live on YouTube. We've started last couple of weeks, and then you can visit our social media pages in Facebook, LinkedIn, like our pages. And just to mention, next week, that is on 7th November, I have Deepak Parikh and Mr. Uni Krishnan from Bayer. I mean, Deepak Parikh from his own company, and then Uni Krishnan from Bayer, talking to me again on digitization, more on the global level. And then post that, we'll have many more talks with all speakers like Mr. Kesavan today. And Mr. Kesavan, thank you once again, and bye-bye. Take care, each one of you. Stay